who are participating in the conference remotely and those who are gathered in Moscow, Yerevan, Moscow, and St. Petersburg at our hubs. A huge thank you to everyone who made this possible. My presentation will be in Russian, and if you are listening to me now in English, then this is translators working. Today, I will explain how to become a new resource holder in the post-runout time as we are depleting the IPv4 pool. I'll be talking for about 20 minutes at the end of the presentation. I'll leave some time for the questions. During the presentation, I will organize 2 polls, and I hope very much that you will be responding actively to my questions. My presentation will consist of several parts, and I hope to make it interesting to both the new members of the community and to the more experienced ones as well. First, I will say a few words about the key topics that were raised at ENOG 17. In the last 6 months, all these topics remained relevant. That's why I wanted, again, to draw your attention to them. And my previous presentation was mostly addressing those members of the community already holding some resources. Today, I want to stress the capabilities that we have for the new resource holders or for those who are thinking about becoming resource holders. Eduard Yamaldinov, the participant of the last conference, actually suggested this idea. He noticed that it's not obvious for many members of the community that they can get resources directly from RIPE-NCC by becoming a member. And yes, probably in our presentations we don't talk enough about membership and the opportunities that with the membership, and today I will try to bridge that gap. And if you're listening to us now, Eduard, thank you very much for this feedback. And towards the end, I will explain what RIPE-NCC is doing to support the community in the ENOG region and how everyone can get involved in the operations of the RIPE community at large. And before I give an overview of the previous presentation, I want to start a poll. I wanted to ask Oliver or Menos, one of these colleagues, to start the poll, please. I want to find out more about our current audience. And here are the questions. Are you a RIPE member? Are you an end user? Or you do not have a formal relationship with RIPE-NCC? Can the audience see the poll? Has the poll been uploaded? Can someone let me know, please? If the poll is already available. I do not see and I don't hear any input. Oh, I see that a new poll has started. Okay, cool. So please go to the poll tab that you can find in the left top corner of your MeetEcho interface. And there, the 3 options are available. Please choose one. As you are voting, last time, 70% of the participants answering the same question said that they were members, and 29 did not have any formal relationship with RIPE-NCC. I am curious to find out whether anything changed over the last 6 months, whether anything changed in the audience. 10 more seconds remaining. Okay, today, 50% of the respondents said that they are RIPE-NCC members, and 45% are saying they have no formal relationships with the community, and 4% are end users. Okay, that's an interesting result. Since this presentation is intended for the new users and potential users, I'm glad that today we have more new people in the audience than we had last time. Okay, the topic that we were discussing last time are still relevant. Like I said, we we were discussing the runout of IPv4 and how this runout affected the dynamics in the community. We continued seeing an increase of IPv4 transfers and merchant acquisitions. Also, the commercial component of the transfers is becoming more pronounced. And unfortunately, this usually is manifested as attempts to acquire control under false pretenses. And we are using additional checks, the so-called due diligence, in order to find the balance between the level of risk and the checks that we are running on our membership. Also, we discussed the importance of the accuracy of the registration data in the RIPE database for the well-being of the internet, and we were saying that the accuracy can only be achieved through joint effort between RIPE and CC resource holders. As IPv4 resources are being exhausted, often transfers are the only option to acquire the necessary resources. And we discussed the rules that apply to the transfers last time, and we also thought about the risks associated with these transactions, what you can do to mitigate those risks. Today, I do not want to say any more on this matter, but if you are thinking about the transfer, I suggest that you listen to the last conference presentation. On the slide, you can see the link to the archive from the previous conferences. Here you can see on this graph the transfer requests. There is a trend towards an increase, and there is this clearly seen rise towards the end of the year, and every year we are observing more requests for transfers than in the previous years. And now I'm moving to the main part of the presentation where I'm going to explain how you can become a new resource holder. For the new members, I'll explain what we mean when we say a resource holder. They're not resource owners, they are resource holders. That's an important difference. A resource holder means that the resources were received directly from RIPE and CC, and there is a relevant record to this effect in the RIPE database. Resource holders have access to manage their resources. In order to become a new resource holder, there are two ways. One, you can become a member, or you can become a resource holder via sponsoring LIR. It's up to you. The choice is yours. It depends on the needs of your organization. The difference is the members can request IPv4 and IPv6 allocations, while end users, the resource holders who have a contract via sponsoring LIR, can only get provider independent assignments of IPv6. Autonomous system numbers are provided both to members and end users. The difference between members and end users is not only in resources. If you become a RIPE NCC member, after 6 months, you will get the right to vote at the general meeting. Anyone can become a RIPE NCC member, a legal or a natural person. The registration process is performed in several stages. Well, first, I refer you to the information that you can find on our website. I will not be able to fit everything into this presentation. You can see the first link on the screen. And there you can also find the application form to become a member. In order to fill out this application form, you need to have an account, an SSO account. If you do not yet have an SSO account, you can create it at the very same page. And the link is given here at the bottom of the slide. It will take 10, maybe 15 minutes to complete the form, but it will take you 10 to 15 minutes, provided that you have all the necessary information and documents at hand. We will be asking for legal information like a statement from the register, or we'll maybe asking information that will need to bill you, financial information, and all kinds of contact information will also be requested from you. We will review the applications from the new members in accordance with a procedure which is known as the due diligence procedure. This is done in accordance with our mandate to ensure RIPE database accuracy. After we receive all the documents from you and the application form, and having verified it, we will send you a RIPE NCC standard service agreement and an invoice. We'll do everything by email. We will expect from you the payment and a signed SSA. The important thing is that the agreement should be signed by someone who is authorized legally to put their signature on the documents. For instance, if you're a director of the company, if you're a general manager and you're authorized to sign these documents, please do so. And after we have received the payment and the signed SSA, your LAR account will be activated. For those of you who do not know what LAR means, this is a local internet registry. When you become a RIPE NCC member, you also become an LAR. A couple of words about billing. The annual contribution is €1,400, and also new members have to make a one-time sign-up fee for registration. Presently, this is €2,000. It should also be noted that this year the board of directors suggested to lower this fee to make RIPE NCC more affordable to the new members. And during the last general meeting, the membership voted in favor of this resolution. All information on the billing procedure is published on the website, and billing information for Russian members is located at the link that you can see at the bottom of the slide. And now let's turn to resources. Probably this is the most interesting part. That's why you are listening to this presentation. After your membership is activated and after you get access to the portal, you can request resources by filling out the relevant forms at your account page. You'll have to identify the type of resource that you are requesting over here. The list is quite lengthy. But I do not want to go into details about each and every one of these types of resource. It's a topic for a separate presentation. If you are not familiar with the subject please go to the supporting notes for Internet Address Space request forms. It's an article, it's a publication that will provide you with all the relevant information. This publication can also be found at your account at the portal at the page from which you are requesting resources. If yesterday you were here and you watched the presentation of our Executive Director, Hans-Peter Hollen, then you have already seen the slide. However, just wanted to repeat this information. Currently, the IPv4s that we are distributing at the moment are the ones that are recycled. After they are returned to the pool, quarantine for 6 months, and after that we'll be able to give them out to the new members in accordance with the new policy that came into effect on the 25th of November 2019. There is a waiting list, and starting from January 2020, the waiting time has consistently been below a day. If you become a RIPE NCC member, you can on getting resources quite quickly. We understand that things might change in the future, but this is how they are at the moment. This is another diagram that you probably have already seen at the RIPE meeting this year. This is how many /94s we're allocating every month. You can see that there is a slight upwards trend. That we are allocating about 100 blocks every month, and still we understand that IPv4s are not enough to meet the demand from the market. That's why we stress the importance of IPv6 space. I wanted to organize another poll. Right now, we had a similar poll at the last conference, and again, I wanted to check whether today we have different dynamics than what we had last time. I'm asking colleagues now to launch our second poll, and while the poll is being prepared, I'll remind you the results that we had last time. 57% of the participants. Oh, now the poll is ready. I will give you some time to read through all the options. There are 6 options there. Okay, I'll keep silent for a while. And yeah, you have more than a minute to do this poll. One minute is left. Half a minute. Maybe in the future we can reduce the time allocated for the poll. It's taking too long. Anyway, I will ask my colleagues to save the results, please, because last time we couldn't save the results. What I'm seeing is 42% said fully deployed or dual stack. Last year, it was 57%. At the same time, we see that this year we have fewer RCC members and more of those people in the audience who are thinking of becoming a member. 42%, that's quite a high number. The regional averages are much lower. On the slide, once again, you see different types of IPv6 addresses. I do not want to explain what they all mean, but let me just say a couple of words on IPv6 allocation. You can receive the first IPv6 allocation as a RIPE NCC member. It is very easy. You have only to confirm that you have a plan to make assignments within the next 2 years. The minimum allocation size /32 can be extended up to /29 without additional justification. More than /29, if you need more than /29, we will be requesting technical documentation from you. Address space from IPv6 allocations can be further assigned to third parties, to your customers. And if previously we were saying that RIPE and NCC have access to certain number of the internet, now I want to say that it's also possible to get a number of resources via sponsoring member, and users can request provide independent IPv6 assignments for their own infrastructure. The minimum size of such an assignment is /48, and if your organization is requesting a larger size, then you have to provide substantiation for your request. You must also remember that provider independent assignments cannot be further sub-assigned. At the last conference, there were many questions and comments on provider independent PI assignments. People were commenting that it's very difficult to get a bigger assignment than /48. Yes, it is true, because it requires a justification, like it says on the slide. And in taking these decisions, RIPE NCC is guided by its current policies, and these decisions are taken by our technical experts after a thorough review of the request and of the supporting documents. I wanted to ask the community, if you need more information about IPv6, please write to us so that we would account for your requests in our planning of various activities. I'm looking at the timer, and I see that not much time is left to finish the presentation. I also wanted to leave some minutes for the questions. So I will really run through the last part of this slide deck. Let's start with the support that we are providing to our membership, to the community in the ENOG region. In this part of the world, we believe the community needs language support, and we do provide it to the best of our ability. I'll give you several examples. We translated several articles, several publications on our website into Russian. We are also billing Russian members in Russian, and we also translate country reports from the ENOG region. In my department in registry services, I have Russian speaking participants, so please call us if uh, if you want some support in Russian, it can be provided. In addition to all our current translation endeavors, this year we launched another major translation project. We are going to translate the content of our website into 6 languages, including Russian, and the very first results we hope to be able to present at the next RIPE meeting. The translated publications will be published as wiki pages, and they will be constantly updated. Why are we doing this? We want to provide more members with information about our services and about our activities. We are sure that the diversity in our community is for the benefit of everyone. We hope that if we lower the information barriers, we will promote greater engagement of the participants in the operations of the community, and we will be able to engage new members. As to how you can get involved, well, first of all, we welcome your participation in the conferences. We're always grateful for your comments and ideas. As you can see, this presentation is based on just one piece of feedback that we received during my last presentation from 6 months ago. You can also participate in the so-called policy development process in our region. New policies are not being discussed, but working groups continue the debates, and you might find their topics interesting. These discussions are open to everyone, whether they are members or not members of RIPE NCC. But RIPE NCC membership has the right to elect the executive board and also to vote for the resolutions of the board. Probably you know that in May this year, the new membership was approved, and Piotr Syzewski from Poland was re-elected to the board. The members also voted for the changes in billing that I have already mentioned. That's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you found it useful. Thank you for your attention, and I'm waiting for your questions. Excellent. Thank you very much, Alona. It's wonderful that you decided to give us an overview of how to become a member. I remember that for many years, in order to find out how you become a member, you have to become a member and pay the money, and only after that you could have access to a course explaining how to become a member, especially from Russia. That was quite a challenge. But thank you very much for sharing this information with us today. I don't see any questions in the chat. Maybe our colleagues in the hubs have questions. You can hear me, but you can't see me, but I'm moderating here as if it were a live conference. You're at the Moscow hub now. Hi, my name is Andrei Sherbovich, and I am totally not a technical person, and you might find my question totally like layman's question, but it's about the run out of IPv4. When is it going to happen completely? And are there any differences in the usage models or the usage experience for the end users between IPv4 and IPv6. Well, thank you very much, Alexander, for this video. It's wonderful to see the person standing up, holding the microphone, a real life person there. So okay, you have several questions there. One is on depletion of IPv4. Currently, we have more than 1.5 thousand /24 blocks in the pool, and the pool is supplemented from time to time. We can't really predict how it's going to be recycled and how it's going to be used, but as to the user experience, IPv4 and IPv6 are two different protocols, and many users need IPv4 in order to connect to the network and then to start running IPv6. But your question is technical. I'm not sure what's the gist of your question, why you're asking it, how I should approach answering it. At the RIPE-NCC, in the training section, maybe you can find some courses or information. Andrei, you can come to ENOG conferences more often and other conferences as well. The other RIPE events. And if you become a regular at the, even if you're not a technical person yourself, you don't have any technical background, you will find answers to all these questions at these events. We have another question. Hi, my name is Vitaly Zubov. I have this question. Okay, I understand that to become a resource holder, you need to be a RIPE member. What is the other way to become holders of additional resources in addition to the /24 that is issued by RIPE moment according to the current policy? And also brokers. Who are brokers? What's their role? Because I come across some persons claiming that they are RIPE-NCC authorized brokers. Who are they? Well, to answer your question, if a RIPE-NCC member acquires /24 and that's not enough, then again, I will refer to my previous presentation, to the previous part where I was, or the earlier part of this presentation where I was saying that transfers are the only way to get the resource. If one organization has excessive resources, others are deficient in resources, then they can come to RIPE-NCC to organize a transfer. At the last conference, last presentation, there was a lot of information about transfers, how you check statistics, how you check your risks. There are resources that are eligible for transfer. There are others that are not eligible. So you can verify whether transfer is possible or not. There is a holding period of 24 months. So not all of the resources are eligible for transfer. Anyway, again, I advise you to download my last conference's presentation. As to the broker, there is no such thing as an accredited or an authorized broker. RIPE-NCC is not an intermediary, but there are people, there are organizations that are bringing together those who have the need in some resources and those who have the supply. And on our website, you can find organizations who are looking for addresses, and there are other organizations that have the resources that they don't need anymore. Maybe my colleagues can post the link to this page in the chat, or you can write to us at ncc@ripe.net, and we'll be able to provide the link and the information to you. And I hope I answered your question. Yes, I hope so too. The point is, please don't be shy to ask questions. Compared to RIPE and CCE that we remember 20 years ago, today RIPE is responding very fast. There is the RIPE community mailing list, there is a RIPE and CCE mailing list, there are mailing list Lear Help. Do we still have it, by the way? And you can send your questions there. The important thing is you don't hesitate to ask questions. There was another question hanging in the air, but unfortunately we don't have time for it. So I will ask the person who wants to ask it to send it to Alona by email. And while Karen O'Donoghue is connecting, setting up her connection, while she's coming on to start the presentation, I'll brief you on what lies ahead. Our next two presentations will be technical. The first one will be on network time security. The other one will be on routing, routers. In the next session, there will be a quick update of yet another RIPE-NCC service, statistical service, and a brief presentation on multi-stakeholderism. And towards the very end of today's session, there will be a joint discussion about what is going to happen to ENOG, what kind of chart it should have, how the program committee should be convened. If you are interested in technical topics and also administrative and organizational topics, please stay with us until the end of the day. Karen, over to you. Karen, we don't see your video. Oh, perfect. Welcome from Moscow and from other hubs. You've got 30 minutes for your presentation and the questions.
Thank you. And my apologies, I mistakenly clicked the wrong button just at the wrong time. So good morning. I'm here today to talk about network time security and the status of the standards and implementations and where we are on the road to deployment. For a long time, time is a very critical component of all of our systems, and it's something that is often overlooked. And security has often not been a high priority of the network time security, network time synchronization community in the past. And this is because time itself is not really a secret information. But this has changed recently and in recent years, and it has changed because of increasing interconnection in systems and decentralization of systems, the increasing complexity of the systems that we're building, the evidence of inadequate security in time. I think when the original time synchronization protocols were designed, they were designed at a time when the internet and the internet infrastructure was believed to be a little bit more trustworthy. Also, a lot of interdependence between security and time. And finally, a lot of legal and compliance requirements. So a number of communities have been working on this over the years, and the Internet Engineering Task Force is one of these communities. And they have divided the problems that they found in time synchronization protocols into basically three categories. In the first category, there is flaws in the configuration and implementation of the protocol. So the protocol specification is fine, but the way the protocol is deployed or how it's used in a system or the implementation of the protocol itself has some flaws in it. This was addressed by the publication of RFC 8633, and this is Network Time Protocol Best Current Practices. And this gives a number of pieces of advice on how to properly configure your network to operate with NTP. It does not add any new additional security mechanisms. It merely addresses the ways that you can better configure the existing infrastructure. The second category of weaknesses that were identified were the weaknesses in the protocol itself. And so this is looking at the network time protocol and the structure of the protocol and where it can be strengthened. For instance, we are currently working on a document on port randomization that should be published sometime this year. We have also published an updated MAC for NTP, RFC 8573, that provides for additional cryptography recommendations. And also we've looked at NTP client data minimization. And by minimizing the amount of client data that needs to be sent, you can make it a more secure and private protocol. And then the final category is the lack of any adequate security mechanism for NTP itself. And this is a problem that the Network Time Working Group in the Internet Engineering Task Force has been working on for a number of years. And at the end of last year, we published a new standard called the Network Time Security Standard. And as you can see in this drawing, this is from the IETF data tracker, and this gives you an idea of the history of the document. You can see that it started way back in 2015, and over a number of iterations, it was published as RFC 8915 in September of last year. So network time security provides a number of things. It provides integrity for NTP packets. It provides unlinkability once the NTP session has been established. It has some mechanisms to avoid replay attacks. It provides for authentication of servers and authorization of clients, and that's an optional capability. The one thing it does do is that NTP as a protocol has several modes of service. And there's a broadcast mode and some symmetric modes. But the primary mode that's used and deployed is the client-server mode. And NTS only supports the client-server mode of NTP. It is designed in two pieces. The first piece is NTS key establishment. And then the second piece is the NTS extensions for the protocol itself. Now, in the next several drawings, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in them, but I put them in here for your information. They're the basic phases of NTS secured NTP. The orange is the NTS key exchange piece, and the blue is the NTP protocol itself that has been secured once the keys have been established. So phase one is based on TLS 1.3, and it's a TLS key handshake and a key establishment. And then once that's done, those keys are used to secure NTP in phase 2, which is basically NTP version 4, use an extension field to support TLS. So this is a little bit more detail. You can see that there's a key exchange server on machine 2. And on machine 1, you can see that there's this NTP secured client. And then you have a number of servers that you are synchronizing to. So the client communicates with the key exchange server. It gets the proper set of keys. And then using those keys, or cookies as they are termed in this language, it uses those cookies to talk to whatever set of servers that you are communicating with. Best practices for NTP is that you synchronize to multiple servers, and that way you can determine which ones are faulty, if there are indeed some faulty ones. So this is just a little bit more detail on the key exchange phase. And as with a lot of different protocols that do this type of work, it's basically doing things, it's discussing what protocols it supports, what crypto algorithms it supports, and it's identifying itself. So you can see I support, these crypto algorithms. And so the client response and the server response negotiate the right set of parameters that they can share. And then once they have that information, that is used to sign the NTP packets. So this is a new mechanism, and the standard was published last year, but as I said, it's been in the works for a number of time, for quite some years now. There have been a number of hackathons that look at the interoperability of these, and there's been some preliminary work looking at the performance. And what I have here is a set of results from some recent hackathons that were held last year. And it looks at a set of servers versus a set of clients. And so across the top, you can see some server implementations that we tested with, and then on the column, you can see the client implementations. So this is basic interoperability. It's not looking in a great deal at performance, and it's not a in-depth compliance test. It's a overall look at is the specification robust enough to build to, and what do the implementations look like? So at this stage, if you think about how you get to deploying a technology, we've developed the standards and the technology. We have some prototype implementations, and we've done some interoperability testing, and we have some production quality open source implementations. So the point at this flow chart that we're in right now is we're looking for our initial commercial products. There's a number of vendors out there that are in the process of making some commercial products. And then we're looking for early deployments so that we can get some tools and testing and troubleshooting to see what the status of it is, and how we can use this technology in our networks. We have some, so I think if you look at where we are on this road, I'd say we're right here, right in the middle. And we're at this point where we're ready for additional testing and troubleshooting. We're ready for some larger scale deployments. There have been some preliminary deployments. And then we need to start gathering lessons learned and best practices and document it so that we can help others do larger scale deployments. So we see sort of 4 ways to do this. The first one being building a community. If we look at the sets of our community that would be interested in this type of technology, it's obviously the network operators, also time service providers. A lot of countries and a lot of major infrastructure providers are also time service providers. So these are organizations that provide both NTP and other types of time for national infrastructure and critical infrastructure. This would be something like NetNode in Sweden or NIST in the United States. And then also enterprise IT groups that would be using, that already use NTP extensively in their systems. So to get, to mature the NTS products, we think that there's a need for distributed multi-party test beds, virtual test events. We've done a few of those in 2020, and some additional work on test and measurement tools. The lessons learned in BCPs and monitoring tools would be the deploying NTS deployment guidance. And finally, to expand NTS deployment, we really need some training and resources. So at this stage, the specification is published. I do want to take a moment to talk a little bit about IEEE 1588. So there are two primary time synchronization protocols used in networks today. And the first one is the network time protocol, designed primarily for the global internet and deployed on large-scale networks. And the second one is the precise time protocol, or PTP, and this was designed in IEEE 1588. And this one started out as still a network time synchronization protocol, in the sense that it is using an IP network to transfer time synchronization information. It was originally designed for instrumentation networks, and then version 2, it moved into the industrial, automation, and telecom space. And in the most recent version, it's moved into the high-end, like experimental networks and those kinds of things. There are a lot of similarities between NTP and PTP, and we would like to think that the 1588 community is currently looking at ways to use NTS or NTS's approach to secure PTP. So that is still work that is ongoing. But from a deployment perspective, we think that if we can get some overlap in the technologies, because the vendor community for time server products is pretty small, that we could get better deployment and better implementations if we can have some reuse of technology there. On the next slide, I'm going to talk about some resources and things. But basically, open source implementations are underway. There's two primary open source implementations that are available now and used generally, and testing is underway. So at this stage, we believe it's time to build solutions, test deployments, and gather lessons learned. On this next slide, I want to talk a little bit about the resources and point you to some specific ones. The first one is obviously the NTP working group in the IETF, and the NTS specification itself. There's primarily two public NTS-enabled NTP services that I would point you to. The first one is NetNode out of Sweden. They have done a lot of work in NTS. They have open sourced some of their code, and they're building hardware that supports NTS. And they are providing a public NTS service. And then the second one is Cloudflare. And this is not an extensive list, but these are two that we have experimented with and that we've used to synchronize our systems to. And Cloudflare runs an experimental NTS service as well. I did mention open source NTS implementations. I think the one that we found to be at this stage the most mature is probably the Crony implementation. And that's in Linux distributions at this point. And we've done some fairly extensive testing with that. I've also provided a list of NTS blog posts here. And so I think that these would also provide a good starting point for looking at this technology. I would imagine that a lot of you as network operators already have NTP running. And what we're looking for is for people to take a look at NTS and figure out what steps you could take to enable NTP with NTS to make your NTP services more secure. And with that, I think I ended early. So are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Karen. Are there any questions? Well, I think this is quite a big, heavy topic, just like BGP. NTP was designed without due regard for security issues. Now you have to take extra effort in order to secure time, at least time. I can see a question. Kirill from the city of Moscow. I'm going to show you Kirill while he's asking the question. Okay. Hello, testing, testing. Can you hear me? Good. Quick question. Okay, so we understand about Unix, but what about Windows? Do you expect NTS will be supported by Windows? Have you heard anything from them?
I know that Microsoft has been working on an implementation to secure their NTP. The last I heard, they were still considering whether to make it NTS compliant or not. So I think that is still work in progress. So when I put us at that stage of commercial products, we don't have commercial products yet that actually support this. But I do believe it's coming. It's just going to take a little while longer.
Thank you for the answer. Any other questions? Yeah, and Vitaly Zubok is here again.
I see a question in the chat. Am I supposed to answer that, I guess? So I see a question from Vitaly that says, we all understand the importance of protecting NTP. In your opinion, will NTS be better deployed comparing BGP-SEC? That's a really interesting question. I think one of the advantages that NTS has over BGP-SEC is that in order for BGP-SEC to really be effective, everybody needs to deploy it. In the case of NTS, it's time is a part of the infrastructure, but you can get a lot of benefit out of partial deployment. And so I think what you're going to see is organizations that are more concerned about secure time will make the initial steps, and then it'll roll out gradually. But because of the way NTP works, you'll be able to get benefits sooner than you would with BGP-SEC. I know this is a common question with any new technology. I mean, the same conversations about DNS-SEC. You know, how do you get these things deployed?
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Please don't be shy. Karen is here. It's very, very early morning for Karen in the United States. And she woke up that early just to be with us today at this session. Please use this opportunity. No further questions? Probably you haven't yet realized how important it is to synchronize time yet. Well, anyway, Karen, thank you so much for the presentation. We hope to welcome you again at our next ENOG. And hopefully we will learn that there are many new deployments and implementations, and Windows is catching up. Thank you.
Yes, I'll check into that and see if I can find the status. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last presentation of this session is on the free router. Frederic Louis, our colleague from France, will be the speaker. You have 30 minutes, but I know you have a long presentation, more than 30 slides, but it's okay if we take some time from the break. That's okay, don't worry.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yes? No? Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's perfect. So thank you for inviting me today. I have a very long presentation, but usually I'm really overlooking all the slides simply because I would like to have you to let you more material so you can have some question afterwards. So I'm Frederic Louis and I'm working for Renater, and we have prepared a set of slides with Csaba Mate from KIFU, which is the Hungarian Education and Research Network. He is the free router lead core developer, and I'm the RAR technical leader. In a nutshell, RAR stands for Router for Academia, Research and Education, and basically this is very important. The mission statement of the project is to create one familiar platform that would be able to create, from which you can derive various solutions that addresses our research and education use case. And usually when you manage to answer research and education use case, you can see that all this solution can be transposed to the real network operation, the network telecommunication and operation world. So basically, this boils down in tying up three components that constitute a routing stack. The first is the control plane. This is the control plane software. The second is the data plane that has this time the particularity to be programmable. And we have new languages like P4 and DP and NPL, network programming language from Broadcom. If you are fairly new to that, don't be scared, because if you are coming from the network field, you will be really feel at home. So one of the difficulties of this project is to tie these two components, the control plane and the data plane, via a specific interface. And usually, sometimes it is a seamless task, and most of depending on the target, it can be a little bit more tedious. But in the long run, the effort is worth, because in the you will be able to create some solution that will be able to run at different line rate using different data plane. But still, you will have this flexibility to program your homemade router, and this is something that you might have, I would say, in your mindset. Usually, you have organizations that are really pushed to do it, to have a do-it-yourself behavior, and most of the time, this behavior is paying off compared to I would say, the basic network cycle that the commercial telecommunication vendor would like to instill it in the industry. This gives you a certain independence with respect to the control plane, but we will see that later. So why are we doing this now? It's simply because the control plane softwares have reached such a maturity that it is now a viable solution for operation and day-to-day life. And also, we have new technologies that open the door to this to a tremendous amount. To a tremendous data plane, a very good data plane that can switch tremendous amount of data traffic, like P4 and DPDK. So the reason why we are using free router is threefold. The first reason is that we have the lead developer in our group, which makes the development a lot more faster. The second thing is that if you compare to our mission statement, the mission statement is about creating a routing platform. And in a sense, free router is more positioned as a router than over product or over software that you can see like Sonic. Sonic is a routing stack, but more or less focused on the cloud and data center space. The third reason why we are using free router, and this is again, this is a personal and biased opinion, we are using it since 2015, and in our case, and it has been proven to be rock solid, and feature a very impressive amount of feature. So we were talking about the use case, but usually, how can we categorize this use case? And usually, you have this three-tier design, and where you can find the core layer, the aggregation layer, and the access layer. In the core, you expect to have network equipment able to switch a very high amount of traffic in terms of packet switching criteria. In the aggregation layer, you will expect function related to aggregation, tunnel aggregation, creation of VPN, and so on, to generate a high amount of raw data for analytics. And this is where we are not ready yet, because this is a different total work from the team. So yeah, the idea here is that usually it took 6 to 8 months to land the new network services, but now with this type of solution, we are able to provide services better, faster, but also most importantly, end-to-end. And this is, I would say, the end of my presentation. I would like to thank Géant and the European Commission for believing in us. Free Router project for this raw diamond software that is the control plane that is piloting the data plane we have created using P4, GPDK, Intel, APS network for letting us access to specific hardware, and of course the usual suspect Linux, Debian, TCP/DEM, and OpenJDK, without whom nothing would have happened. The useful links, we have project links from the project where you will see the Free Router control plane homepage. If you're more interested in looking at data planes, you will have rar.freerouter.net. This is a blog that I am maintaining, where you will find a very interesting articles on how to deploy free routers. And I also restarted a documentation on how to configure free router. The idea here is to, with the last one, is to be able to configure things like BGP, OSPF in a backbone and so on. But I think you already know this. So feel free to contact us using this mailing list for the users. For if you want to join us for the developers, we have a Twitter account. And if for any reason you like IRC, just join us at Free Router channel. So last but not least, the code. Feel free to also check out the code, use it, give us feedback, test it, and if you want, start to contribute. Looking ahead, the idea for us now is to share this with the public, because we have worked hard over the last 2 years, and the idea is to start a community, create a community around this project, in order to have it it more successful and have more adoption. We think that this can have a very huge impact in your environment, and specifically when in environment where DIY mindset is very anchored into the culture. And also, for some reason, if you don't have the budget, sometimes you have to surpass yourself and have to be very creative with this, and this type of hardware are very good for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting presentation. And we still have time left for the questions. And I'm going to read the question that was sent to us online. It's in English, and I'll have to translate it into Russian. So a question from Niall O'Reilly from Tolerant Networks. Now we are in right vice chair head, it says here in the comments. Perhaps it's a naive question. What does presenter see as key differences between RARE and Tsuris from CZNIC, which is also an open router?
Okay, so CZNIC is deploying a software called maybe using Bird. And Bird is running on a Tsuris hardware. So correct me, I'm not the expert here, but this is the idea, I think. And the B for Bird stands for BGP. And this is really committed to, and this is one of the very good reasons why Bird is very famous in Internet Exchange Point. So the mission statement here is different. In the RAR project, the idea is to provide a platform. And if you look at it, the solution we are proposing has 3 different data planes. One that is P4, one that is GPDK, and the last one that is a pure software data plane using libpcap. These 3 data planes propose you 3 different solutions three different ways to address use case in the research and education that correspond also to small institution, big institution, and very large institution. But allow me a complement of information. If you look at free router, you can dream about, you can have all the feature a telecommunication operator would dream about. You have, I will give you some example. I have OSPF v3 with IPv6, IPv4. I have ISIS running IPv6 as a different TLV. We have BGP and all the address families we can imagine, like EVPN, VPLS. We have segment routing extension for IPv6. So this is more or less something you would expect from a routing platform. And again, this is why the mission statement I mentioned in the very beginning of the project is quite important. The idea is not to overlap with other projects, but to complement them. And this is why we, for example, we are not competing, I think, with Sonic, because Sonic is really more focused on the cloud and data center space, while we are more focused on the wide area network and metropolitan area network.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? I have a question. Maybe it's not a question to the speaker, but it's like a rhetoric question to our audience. We see that your route is supported by the European Union, but is there another project for routing or open source hardware that would be supported by Ukraine or Georgia or Russia or any other country that is part of our region? It's a rhetoric question, like I said, but I mean, if the audience knows anything about it, please write to the program committee. We'll be happy to give the floor to someone with a presentation about a router that would be developed in our region. And in absence of other questions, I don't see any questions here at the hub. I don't see any further questions in the online chat. Everything is wonderful. Thank you very much. It was an amazing presentation. We are going to watch your progress with a lot of interest. Hopefully, you'll come back to us at our next meetings and report again about your progress. Thank you.
I have a very quick answer to your rhetoric question from my side. The first thing is that I was mentioning the European Commission because we are working under an umbrella project called GEAN, from GEAN. And GEAN is a European association, encompasses 40 partners that are 40 countries in Europe. It happens that in our project, people who join the project are from Hungary. Free router is from Hungary, for example, from Switzerland, France, and also Spain. But of course, we are welcome to have contribution from any other countries, from Ukraine, Russia, benefit from their, I would say, knowledge, vision of their use case locally, because the use case, a school in how to connect a school in France or Switzerland might be very, very rather different in Moscow or Ukraine or in other region, and we would love to have them participate them to be with them in how our software can answer their use case. Then this is the idea of providing this as open source platform. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hope that people heard what you are saying, and if not our participants, then the people who they know will get in touch with you and share their expertise, their knowledge with you as well. Well, thank you anyway. This is the end of our first session of the day. I ask everyone kindly to take some rest and get yourselves a cup of coffee, maybe. Please stay with us during the break for the quiz Kahoot. There will be opportunities to win prizes, and stay with us for subsequent sessions that will be less technical, but as exciting. And forward-looking. Please do not forget to leave your feedback on the presentations at the ENOG website. You can rate the presentations. Thank you very much for being with us, and see you again in the next 15 minutes at the quiz and in the next half an hour at the next session. Thank you.
Initiate countdown.
Welcome, everybody, to the second ENOG 18 quiz. My name is Gerardo Viveros, and I am your quiz master. We are broadcasting today from a rave on a busy highway.
It's time to party.
So, welcome, everybody. Today's quiz is sponsored by the Internet Society. Now, let's have fun and maybe learn something new. I'm going to tell you how to play this game. So if you played it yesterday, you already know. What you have to do is go to www.kahoot.it or use the Kahoot app and put in your game pin number. That is 9287535. With that game pin, you can then put in your nickname. Put anything that allows us to find you to give you a prize. I don't know if there's a prize, but let's see if we can find you. Anyways, we'll try to reach out to you. We're going to have 10 questions. And today, no, it's only 10 questions. Don't worry. 10 questions with 4 possible answers. And today, the topic is routing. So you must know a lot about this because this is a network operators group, isn't it? That's right, Kitty. This is the Network Operators Group, the ENOG. So you guys must know about routing. That's not so terrible, man. Anyways, you get 10 questions, 4 possible answers, and the person who gets the right answer the fastest gets the most points. And the person with the most points wins at the end of the quiz, at the end of the 10 questions, of course. Nothing to laugh about. Anyways, let's wait a little bit while we wait for the people to log in.
Good luck.
Okay, I think we have 15 people, and it's kind of time to start. Just remember the game pin. You can log in at any time to play the game. So let's get this party started. Welcome to the quiz. ENOG Day 2. This starts in 3, 2, 1. Question number 1. Which criteria is checked first to decide if a route is the best? Which criteria is checked first to decide if a route is the best? Is it the oldest route? Is it the shortest AS path? Is it the lowest origin? Or is it the highest weight? One of these 4 is it. If you don't know, just press any color and you'll find out. And the right answer is the highest weight. That is the first thing that BGP will check to decide if a route is the best. Let's check the scoreboard. We have Windows 95 at the top. Now that's a site. Symbol, DK379, AI89, and Anna. On to our next question. Number 2. What type of routing protocol is BGP? Is it the distance vector? Is it a link vector? Is it a path vector? Or is it a link state? Which of these 4 is it?
Oh, here comes trouble.
It's not a trouble. If you don't know the answer, press any of them. You'll find out at the end of this question. So is it distance vector, link vector, path vector, or link state? And the right answer is BGP is a path vector. Scoreboard says Windows 95 still at the top, AI89, Anna, Symbol, and Lost Boy. Question number 3. What minimizes the impact of route flaps in downstream ASs upon local and upstream ASs? So let me repeat that because it's long. What minimizes the impact of route flaps in downstream ASs upon local and upstream ASs? Is it route filtering? Is it route dampening? Is it flap filtering? Or is it route flapping? It's almost a tongue twister. And the right answer is route dampening. Route dampening minimizes the impact of route flaps. And Windows 95 takes a downfall. AI89 jumps up. Symbol, DK379, and Alfredo Citaro. On to the next question. Which of these is a category of BGP path attributes? Is it the very known mandatory? Is it the well-known supplementary? Is it the well-known mandatory? Or is it the well-known unknown? I'll repeat that. Is it the very known mandatory? Is it the well-known supplementary? Is it the well-known mandatory, or is it the well-known unknown? And the right answer is well-known mandatory. You probably know the other three as well, but the well-known mandatory is one of the BGP attributes qualifications. AI89 at the front in flames, symbol Alfredo Citaro, Ronnie, and Windows 95. Question number 5. What does the number 179 mean for BGP? 179. Is it the next header value? Is it the TCP port? Is it the AS path limit? Or is it the RFC? So one of these four is, oh, that was fast. You didn't even get to the end of the timer. It's the TCP port. That's right. BGP accepts sessions or connections on port 179. AI89 still at the front, symbol Alfredo Citaro, Ronnie, and VS28. On to the next question. Which BGP community prevents a route from being advertised outside the local AS to eBGP peers? So which of these communities prevents a route from being advertised outside the local AS to eBGP? Is it the no route? Is it the no advertise? Is it the no nonsense? Or is it the no export? Oh, no! In either case, it's an oh, no. And the right community is the no export. That will tell the BGP peer to not advertise it outside the local AS. And the scoreboard says AI89 still at the front, symbol Alfredo Citaro, VS28, and Sergey M. On to our next question. What does RIP mean? So does it mean rest in peace? Does it mean routing information protocol? Does it mean rapid information protocol? Or does it mean routing introduction protocol? One of these four, and it's really, really easy. Is it rest in peace routing information protocol, rapid information protocol, or routing introduction protocol? And it is the routing information protocol. We could have said rest in peace too, but that's not what RIP means in the routing context. And let's check the scoreboard. AI89 still at the front in flames. Symbol Alfredo Citaro, VS28, and Sergey M. On to question number 8. You have 3 more questions, everybody. What does this symbol represent? What is it? Is it a black hole? Is it a switch? Is it a layer 3 switch? Or is it a router? What does this symbol represent? This is the make or break. So is it black hole switch, layer 3 switch, or router? And by now you should have known it. This is the symbol that you usually use for routers. Very well done. Scoreboard says AI89 still at the front, VS28, Alfredo Citaro, symbol, and DK379. On to question number 9. Which attribute is categorized as optional transitive? So all of these categories, all of these attributes are categorized. And which one is optional transitive? Is it next hop? Is it local preference? Is it community? Or is it the MED? Oh, yeah! Yes, wake up, smell the cappuccino. It is the community. It's an optional transitive. Optional meaning you don't have to use it if you don't want to, and transitive meaning it goes on to the next AS. Surprise! Surprise! And the scoreboard says AI89 still at the front, VS28, symbol Ronnie, and Alfredo Citaro. Last question. What is the default BGP connect retry timer? So what is the default BGP connect retry timer? Is it 100 seconds? Is it 120 seconds? Is it 90 seconds? Or is it 60 seconds? Is it 0 seconds? We're almost out of time. Which of these 4 is it? And the default BGP connect retry timer is 120 seconds. Now you know it. Let's see who is number 3. DK379. And then number 2, Alfredo Citaro. And then number 1, we have AI89. Very well. Thank you, everybody, for playing, and I hope you had fun. Please enjoy the next session at ENOG 18. Stay safe and keep on learning. Goodbye.
Okay, it's 1700 UTC plus 3. Welcome to everybody that's in the conference, and welcome to what is the last session of ENOG 18. And we've got a bit of a mixed session coming up. We're going to be starting off with 2 lightning talks, and then we're going to be moving into a box session to discuss the proposed new ENOG charter. And then finally, our chair, Artyom, will give a closing address. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first lightning talk presenter. It's Oleg Moravsky. He's going to be talking about the Routing CC RIS. So the Routing Information Service is really quite an important service, underpins much of the routing system. I certainly use it quite a lot, so I'm really interested myself to hear hear about the recent developments and plans for the future. So Oleg, you have 10 minutes or so to give your talk. Hand over to you.
Very well, then I will start presenting right away. I will be talking about the RIS update, current state of affairs and plans for the future. What is RIS? It's a project to collect BGP data around the world. The project has been around for more than 20 years, and presently we have 22 collectors that are receiving data from 1,336 peers. All data is published openly together with routing table dumps. Right now, we've got about 857 gigabytes of compressed raw data per month. We also provide a live stream of collected data. This is called RIS Live. There is a WHOIS query interface, RIS WHOIS, and RIS data is the main source of data for RIPE-STAT. And I'm sure you're all familiar with RIPE-STAT. How was the service evolving over the years? On this slide, you can see the list of our collectors and when they were connected. There weren't many changes over the past several years. Well, last year we added, this year we added a RIPE multi-hop collector in Amsterdam. Over here, you can see the growth in the number of peers that are sharing BGP data with us. You can see that in the last year, the rate of growth has declined. This is the result of our new approach to selecting peers, but I will talk about this a little bit later. On the next page, you can see the number of prefixes that is announced in the internet. Of course, that number is growing, and of course, because of that, the number of prefixes seen in RIS is also growing. Over here, you can see IPv4 and IPv6 prefixes together. We have just surpassed the 1 million mark, and my congratulations to everyone. I hope your routers are ready for it. The most curious graph of this list is this one, in my opinion. This is the raw data size chart, and you can see the volume doubled already on 2020. And this is a very worrying trend. What is the reason of such a dramatic growth? It's still not clear. It's not the number of peers. It's not the number of prefixes. None of these numbers grew at the same rate. One of the reasons is the so-called noisy peers. On this chart, you can see the number of BGP messages that we receive per hour. The green part of the graph is the total number of messages from all peers, and it grows from 8 to 12 million. It's been growing in this range during that period of time, and the very colored part of this chart is the 50 peers who are responsible for about 1/3 of all messages supplied by 1,300 peers. And the yellow window in the middle is the message from just one peer that for almost 20 hours was sending 10, 11 million messages. Now this is approximately as many as what other peers did, all other peers are taken together. This doesn't happen very often, and the main source of noise are those 50 peers that are shown at the bottom of this graph, and consistently they are the ones supplying the greatest number of messages. The negative effects of the growth of RIS, more data. We are collecting more data, but it doesn't always mean greater diversity in routes. The costs associated with processing the data are growing. More peers also intensifies noise in the data. As a result, we are getting a lot of useless data, and there are delays to publication of the data, to output data. How do we intend to adapt to these new circumstances? One of the improvements that we would like to introduce is to serve data from different platforms, not only from our office in Amsterdam. Right now, we're considering the use of open data program at Amazon Web Services. We expect that this will improve throughput of files downloading for many locations that are remote to Amsterdam, and this will also simplify synchronization of loaded files. And the users have been asking for it for a long time. What other improvements are in the making? First, we want to optimize the data processing system. It was developed many years ago, and it's based on batch processing of the files that we would be uploading or downloading from our collectors. Right now, we are streaming the files, but the processing procedure is not yet adapted to this new output. We intend to start publishing one file per peer. A publication or output of one file per collector means that if there is a lot of noise generated by one peer, it will delay the publication of the files for all peers from the same collector. Another innovation is peering coordination. From the start of this year, we changed our approach to selection of peers and to the coordination of data that they are supplying to us. All peers are limited to one session only, apart from a situation when different sessions are associated with different routes. And we are not asking the peers to provide us with a full feed if we already have similar feeds. We are also collecting more peer metadata, including the geolocation, the type of feed, and several other types of metadata. One other improvement is the new multi-hop collectors for different regions. Let's take a closer look at this idea. Most of our collectors are located at IXs, Internet Exchange Providers, which ensures better stability of our communication with the peers, because the peers are on the same network, and only one collector until recently enabled multi-hop connection, but we launched the multi-hop Montevideo last year, and this year in Amsterdam for the European region. The Montevideo one is servicing the LACNIC region, and this year we'll be bringing up a Middle East region collector in Dubai. we hope to be able to improve the representation of the regions that are underrepresented right now. One of the metrics that we use to determine the attractiveness, the appeal of a new peer or a new member is how much they can improve our distance to a certain region, to a certain location. Over here, you can see distance to our countries. You can see that there's great variety, not only in terms of the number of traffic announced, but also in terms of the length of path. And all countries have room for improvement. How can you do it? You can connect to RIS. The link to the registration form is given at the bottom of the slide. And at the end of this presentation, it's very important for us to know your opinion. Do you want to have more or less peers, more or less locations, more or less data? Do you want to see complete feeds, or you only want to see filtered feeds? And maybe there is something else that you would like to be getting from us. If so, please get in touch at ris@arrive.net. Thank you. Thank you very much, Oleg. I don't see any questions in our questions tab and not in the chat. Let's wait a little bit. I can go back to the graphs. Maybe people have questions about those slides, this dynamics. I don't see any request to take the floor.
Okay, I think you've explained it so well again that probably everybody hasn't got any question.
There is a question. Dmitry. Yes, thanks. A point of clarification. I can see that quality matters as much as quantity of collectors. 2 collectors outside of the European region, that's wonderful. But if you're interested in routing, what are your criteria? What I'm trying to ask is, you don't need too many collectors. You already have a lot of data. And I guess you don't want to duplicate other resources. But how do you what's your selection process? How do you prioritize countries, maybe, or collectors or peers? Maybe you have rules for this. I am a user of your service, and probably I would be interested in seeing your collectors in all continents, because we really are interested in learning more about visibility outside of Europe. Yes, well, some time ago we reviewed our policy, because in the past we used to connect almost anyone who came asking, and we would place collectors anywhere we could. So when someone would suggest allocating a collector in a particular place, if someone wanted to sponsor a collector, then we would usually say yes. Now we are hosting our big collectors. We see that it makes no further sense to host our collectors at IXPs, because we will not be able to collect many peers there. If we talk about the countries where we do not have any collectors at all, the answer to this question is quite simple. Since we do not have any data from these countries, then of course we would love to have a collector there. We are designing a new type of collector. In the past, they used to be hardware servers, all of them. The last 2 collectors are virtual machines. And we are thinking that the virtual collectors would be easier to maintain, would be easier to add in various remote locations. So that's how I can answer your question. Again, if you've got opportunities, if there's something that you can offer, we will be very happy to consider. Sure, I will write to you. And it's wonderful that you've got a VM. This is a VM. This is so much better. This is so much convenient, much more convenient. Thank you. I'll just write to RIS, to RIS. Okay, thanks. Thank you very much, Oleg. I don't see any other questions. Kevin, you can announce the next speaker, please.
Okay, thank you. So we move to another quite different topic, but I think one that's also interesting. So this is going to be talking about the multi-stakeholder dialogue on the Ukrainian way into the EU digital single market. So as some of you may be aware that Ukraine is interested in integrating with the EU digital market. So this lightning talk is aiming to kick off that discussion about the readiness of the country for this. So the talk is going to be given by Oksana Prichodko. And she is from, I think it's INGO or maybe INGO, the INGO European Media Platform. So I will hand over to you, Oksana. Then you have around 10 minutes.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak at this conference. I want to present today not just our achievements, but mainly I wanted to talk about the issues that are still outstanding, that are currently at the center of our discussions, and maybe the RIPE community can give us some advice as to how we should proceed. In seven years ago, Ukraine signed a special agreement with the European Union. And under this agreement, Ukraine committed to implementing certain European rules and provisions into the national legislation. Of course, the legislation, the regulation changed over the years, and we managed to convince, say, the European Union colleagues that we don't have to implement the directives dating 2001, 2010 in the field of telecom, but instead we focus on implementing the regulation that is currently in effect in the European Union. In 2012, we translated the European Code of Electronic Communications, and today in Ukraine there is a law on electronic communications, which is very much aligned with the European Code of Electronic Communications, and we were adopting this code almost at the same time as the similar document was adopted in the European Union. But our goals are much more ambitious than that. We not only want to implement the European legislation in Ukraine, we want to deploy the European approach to legislation, and we wanted to do it on the basis of the Digital Services Act. I know that RIPE NCC is discussing actively this future European regulation, and RIPE NCC has its own position on this document, but I'm interested in the approach that the European Union is taking towards this regulation or a directive. We don't know what it's going to be right now. Where did it all start? In April 2020, an analytical center of the European Parliament published its report where it talked about its vision for the future of the digital market and the regulatory and legislative issues and challenges facing the European countries in making the digital environments more safe, more open, and better fitted to innovations and continuous improvement of well-being. Then in June last year, the so-called roadmap was published. It is quite a short document. It is only 6 pages long, and we translated this document into Ukrainian, the document, the roadmap, states the status of the digital economy, of the digital sphere, European Union at the time of adopting this document and the objectives that the European community is pursuing with the Digital Services Act. After that, many comments were provided on the document. I know that the RIPE NCC also commented this roadmap. Some of these comments are taken on board. I hope that we will hear more about this later. And right now in the Ukraine, we are trying to replicate this approach. And on the 20th of April, we organized a roundtable at the Ukrainian Parliament within its Committee on Digital Development, a roundtable on how to engage all stakeholders. We have this wonderful Ukrainian word, всех причетных, or in Russian that would be interested parties, stakeholders. In this discussion, we want to understand what is our vision for this future European and Ukrainian regulation. We had a lively debate. The representatives of two committees of the Ukrainian Parliament took part in those proceedings: the Committee on Digital Transformation, the Committee on Humanitarian Policy. They are working currently to draft two laws that have basically the same field of regulation, but that use different terminology. The Committee on Digital Transformation has already drafted the law on electronic communication services, and the other committee is working on the law on media services. And if in English only one word exists, service, in Ukrainian or in Russian, there are three possible words that can be used to translate the words услуга, service, and служба. So that's one other issue outstanding, something that we'll have to agree upon in the future. Another question that we still do not have an answer for is whether a TV viewer should be seen as a consumer or as a user. And in your countries, do you have any associations of viewers, TV viewers, radio listeners, or similar organizations? For instance, at the website of the European Commission, I saw feedback from the European Association of TV Viewers. Thank you very much for your attention. I wanted to ask Alexei Semeniaka to perhaps give his feedback on this presentation or share some comments. Well, I can only express my own personal opinion. Oksana asked for my comments, and I was not preparing. That is to say, I'm not here. I'm not commenting this presentation right now in any official position. Okay, I'm not speaking on behalf of any institution or organization or a community. Again, this is my own private opinion. You may think that this is a stupid question, all these legal intricacies, and you don't understand what's the point. But then you understand that the same words can be found in other documents, and the people who are not specialists in the industry, the outsiders, when they peruse different documents, they will treat these documents as official sources of information. They will do comparison. They will say, okay, here one word is used and here a different word is used. It means that these two notions are different. So I would take this matter seriously, and I believe that yes, we need to find proper terminology, and we need to understand what is already being used in various regulatory documents. If it's usluga, a service, it's a service that is being rendered. It's a procedure. It's an act between two parties. A service can be free or can be charged or chargeable, but there are two parties, at least two parties to a service. There is a party that offers the service, the other is accepting the service. There can be, there should be an agreement between the parties, and so they should have their expectations about this service, about its quality, etc. So service, that's one meaning. You may think again that you may think that this we are here splitting right now, that this is pedantry, but it's not, because we, the technical communities, we the addressees of all these this regulation, we will be the ones subject to this regulation, and if we don't do it properly from the word go, then we will keep confusing ourselves and the industry and well, the outsiders, especially with all this terminology. And if you have any questions to me, I will be very happy to take them. Yes, sure, colleagues, you can ask questions or you can offer your remarks or other interventions. And again, please remember that we have the chat and we have the Q&A tab. Okay. It looks like the questions are not coming. Thank you much. Thank you, Oksana, for the presentation. Kevin, over to you. Kevin, very sorry we can't hear you. Well, I can hear you. Oh, good. If you can hear me, then everybody can hear me, or should be able to hear me anyway. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome from the Kiev hub. Yesterday, we announced this Birds of Feather meeting. It's not very it's not a routine session at ENOG. Sometimes if there is an issue that is somewhere on the side that is kind of perpendicular to the program, something that needs discussing, but it can't be integrated into the program proper. That's why we have this format of the Birds of Feathers, the BOFs, BOFs. It's a kind of a attempt to test the waters. And yesterday, when we were talking to Anton about how we should proceed with this BOF, Anton said that there is a bit of criticism that he would like to share with us, and we agreed that in the beginning of the session he will take his 5 minutes. He said that he sees some good things in this reviewed charter, but there are many other things that he would like to criticize. So we'll give him 5 minutes to state his position. Probably after that, I will list the questions that I would like this both to discuss today. I am not proposing any answers, really. We try to do it in the ENOG Discuss mailing list. If you are not subscribed yet, please do so. The traffic is not very heavy, but maybe you'll find something useful in this mailing list. And maybe it makes sense to have a free flow discussion. I'm going to list the questions, and then I would like to hear from the audience, from the room. Really, how do you think we should organize ENOGs in the future? So, as agreed, let's start with Anton. He has his 5 minutes. I promised those 5 minutes, okay? And Anton, you promised that you will take not more than 5 minutes, okay? Because we need to have time for a discussion. After that, I will need another 5 minutes for the introduction and that list of questions. And after that, I would really appreciate it if the audience would start actively expressing itself. Anyone who'd like to share anything with us, please join. Both means active listening and active commenting. Take it as a micro brainstorming session. There aren't any right answers or off-the-shelf solutions. We need to understand how the audience feels, okay? Something you say is important. Please participate. Anton, now over to you. Your 5 minutes begin. Okay, hello, colleagues. Right, I wanted to say something about how I see ENOG and what I liked about ENOG in the past and what I'm not very happy with right now. And all of this should be taken in the context of reviewing the charter. This presentation is my personal opinion. I will be stating the facts from memory. I try to be accurate and precise, but maybe I am mistaken and the memory failed me, and I do apologize for this in advance. Secondly, I don't know. At least I don't know. I heard someone say that the politics in Europe is smooth, while politics in Russia and neighboring countries is kind of cynical. And I will start with the last regional meeting that took place in Moscow. That was in 2010, the 8th meeting. It lasted for 3 days. We had up to 2 parallel sessions, not only tutorials, but also presentation sessions. And all 15 members of the program committee worked hard. Well, 2010, that was 11 years ago. And this is when the idea of an ENOG was put forward. I perceived it as a shared a regional platform to discuss not only issues that are relevant for the technical center, but also for the for everyone, really. I was thinking of a platform that would be relevant for all organizations, and that's why, like ENOG, a separate structure was set up called ENOG, and our first conference took place in 2011. Again, not 2 days, but 3 days, 2 parallel sessions, 18 active program committee members, 340 attendees. In Moscow, we had as many as 500 people at the same time, and a very active organizing committee. And when you enter the archive, when you go to the archives and go to the ENOG 1 website, what you see immediately is that the conference was opened with an address from the minister, which is missing. in all our recent events. I remember Andrei Robachevsky, Dmitry Burkov playing an important role in all these things. Serge from MTC. Not only NTC, but MSKIX and the Coordination Center was also very active. After that, the Hostmaster came into play, the Ukrainian hosting platform. We had a very good media coverage at that time. At least industrial publications kept covering us all the time. They were publishing articles about ENOG. And what happened next? We have had 18 meetings. The first 8, Andrei Robachevsky during the first 8 was the chair of the program committee. After that, we had Sergei Mesayedov, and after that, Alex Semeniaka. And right now, it's Artyom Gavrichenkov. Until 2017, we had sessions twice a year. This was our reply to cutting down the days of the event. We started with 3 days, and after that we shifted to a 2-day events. I do not want to analyze the number of attendees, but one of the important statistical metrics that we counted in the past, and for some reason we stopped counting it now, is the number of activities, like roundtables, panel discussions, and BOFs. We had BOFs on anything, on working groups, on BGP key signing ceremonies, DNS, peering, statistics collection systems. We had all kinds of activities, and we had many of them, which was great. Unfortunately, in recent years, the number of activities is declining. And what I also observed over the years is that sometime, I can say, well, basically, according to the chart with the organizing committee, was not transparent, which had a negative impact on the conference, but at least we felt its role during the very first events, and the organizing committee was real aid. But sometime around ENOG's 11-12, organizing committee was limited to NTC, and we had only a few of the external players. And this is, I'm sorry, your time has run out. Okay, can I have 2 more minutes, please? Okay, I'll do my best. Fine. And I heard some comments of the program committee. I will try to quote again to the best of my ability. Worst ENOG ever. It's worse than the event that we had in Baku in 2014. I think you all remember what happened in those days. And 9 out of 11 reports accepted they had a rating of rate 3 and lower. And all other facts are listed on the slide. Okay, what is a good event? A good event should have an interesting program, but I think that our program is going from bad to worse. Good attendance rate, good coverage. We lost media coverage totally. Industry organizations recognition and regulators recognition, like ICANN, for instance, like we're not having any. We don't have ICANN. We don't have Russian Coordination Center or Ukraine Postmaster present. They do not consider ENOG important enough to come here to speak here. And overall, what are our current problems? The way I see it, in the program committee. Well, I believe there is a lot of willfulness of the chairs. Often there is a problem with distributing responsibility, and there is a conflict of interest, and very often the chair becomes the center of everything. There is no delegation of functions to other participants, which reduces the incentives. Well, actually, if you look at the activity of the program committee, it's close to zero. It's not active. Not more than half of the members of the program committee participate in selecting presentations. Fewer and fewer people participate in the meetings, and we have new members of the program committee. It's true, but no one is involving them. No one is onboarding them. We also have problems with organization. We do not have an independent organization committee. This role is monopolized by RIPE-NCC. You said 5 minutes, please. We had an agreement. This is the last slide, one last slide. I think that RIPE-NCC is not interested in having an independent ENOG. The brand is important for them, but they are not interested in investing into the organization of ENOG. Well, you see it written on the slide. This is statistics on the program committee and the changes. You can see here the participation rating, involvement rating. And I wanted this speech to be very uncomfortable for as many people as possible, including myself. I want to instigate some positive change. And it's in your hands. It's up to you. I'm addressing now the community because this is my personal opinion. I do not welcome questions. That's it for me. Well, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Thanks. This a brief presentation from Anton. It correlates very well with what we would like to discuss during this BOF. I will try to take less than 5 minutes. Indeed, ENOG was initiated by RIPE-NCC. And a program committee was established in order to prepare the program of ENOG. The program committee is a leading committee, and it evolved over the years. At one point, we acquired a charter. The charter was, the drafting of the charter was initiated by Serge Aducic, who worked at RIPE-NCC at this time, and I was working at Curator Labs at that time. So we formalized the procedure a little bit, but the way it was done kind of on the back of the envelope. We have many functions that were adopted by RIPE-NCC. In the past, it was called the organizing committee, and I think it still features in the charter, but now RIPE-NCC assumed the function of the organizing committee. And we have a more formalized scenario in the Middle East. There we have a similar event called ENOG, and there these functions are formalized in the ENOG Secretariat. So these functions that are currently performed by RIPE NCC for ENOG could be transferred, say, to a secretariat. That's one problem. The second problem is the way the program committee was convened, there was a call for volunteers, which is okay. It's normal. It's fine. We wouldn't be able to do it otherwise in the beginning. But now what happens is the committee elects itself. New members are voted in by old members. And it's very difficult, therefore, to claim that the ENOG program committee represents the community. Right now, it represents itself, just because the whole selection process happens kind of offline. The community has nothing to do with it. Someone nominates him or herself, and then the program committee decides to accept that self-nomination or not. And this actually compromises the legitimacy of the program committee. If the vacancy is filled in and no one is leaving, that no one new will be able to join the program committee unless someone says, I don't want to work here anymore. And people can just stay there. Maybe they are sick and tired of the program committee, but for some reason they want to keep their name on the list of the program committee members, and they will stay there for as long as it takes their whim. There is no rotation. And what Anton also mentioned, there is no clear separation between the functions that are of organizational nature that are performed by RIPE NCC, the secretariat or whatever, the organizing committee, and what the program committee does, those functions. I think the program committee should work to prepare the program, to invite the speakers, to invite new ones, or to persuade old ones to come back and speak again at this conference. Right now, this is what the program committee does. Yes, it does it, but because there is no clear separation, there is no clear borderline. There is this no man's land, and there are conflicts. Who should be doing what and who should be asking whom? We have had 18 meetings already. This is a mature event, right? So probably it's high time that we came to a consensus with respect to this fund. There are no right or wrong answers, but please speak your mind on the rotation of the program committee, the elections over the program committee right now. The program committee elects itself. Do we need to change that? And thirdly, rather, the separation of duties. Those entities, which entities should we have inside ENOG, and where should the borderline lie between these entities? There are several people waiting. Thank you. And Dmitry Karfanyuk was the first to request the floor. Dmitry? Yes, thank you. I have a lot of experience of the program committee. Can we go back to the table, please? I think that the crisis is not that severe. There are people who join it, they stay, they tend to stay. Antona, myself, Alexander Savnin, several other people. And then there are other people who've been on the program committee for just a couple of years. And I think that there are two distinct groups of people. Those people who've been with the program committee for a long time, they lose interest. Well, I don't think that I lost interest, but there are other people probably. I'm not going to call names because that's not what I'm trying to say. But I am also a member of RIPE PC. It was much more difficult to get into RIPE PC, and there is rotation in there, but RIPE PC has a property that we do not have. RIPE NCC supports much more. People get trained. It's a high level event, and it's probably much more interesting to go one level up, you see. And most ENOG committee members are very qualified. Probably we should have fewer people there, and probably they should rotate often, and probably we should introduce some internal KPIs to assess the quality of the members. For SE, they have a formalized chart. The same one was adopted by RIPE and CC. There is another geopolitical problem. ENOG is very much centered on Russia. And I know that not everybody else, I mean, would be happy because of that much concentration. If we can go back to the other slide where you have statistics on the liquidity of ENOGs, you can see that there used to be this agreement that every second ENOG would be held elsewhere, outside of Russia. But if you look at the chart, there are more events in Russia. I don't think it's a tragedy though. It's a niche event. It attracts fewer people. Maybe Sergei Misailov, who was the chair for a longer period of time, maybe he can add something. Maybe we shouldn't be attacking individuals. Instead, we need to think which processes are missing. And yes, we need new people. Thanks. Thank you. I will ask Sergei Misailov then to take the floor. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. Good. Frankly, I don't understand what the problem is. The rotation as a principle is a good idea. If the places in the program committee would have been taken just to tick the box on formal grounds. What Anton wrote on the slides, it's sometimes offending and sometimes it would people. I don't think that this is good advertising, and I don't think what you wrote on the slide will attract many people to the program committee. As to the copyrighting organizations, then in some regions where we held ENOG, I did not see a lot of cooperation from the operator community and regulators and other stakeholders. In Russia, the government doesn't want to cooperate. The government is not very much interested in the opinion of the operators. The operators who are just providing the pipe, they of course they want to be important for the regulators, but if the regulators don't want to recognize their importance, it's not the problem of the community, it's the problem of the society. And I will be glad if someone would respond to this remark and tell me that my perception is wrong. Okay, thank you. And Alexander Isavnin is also requesting the floor. Alexander now withdrew the request. Alexei, would you like to respond to the remark? Oh, Alexander is back. Okay, Alexei, you go first. Well, I don't understand how I can respond to what was said, because everything that was said is quite reasonable. Yesterday, before today, with Dmitry at the Ukrainian hub yesterday, and today also, we've been saying that rotation should be mild. For instance, rotation starting from today's term. When we have the charter, when it is updated, the terms should be zeroed, and the new timeline should begin from the adoption of the reviewed charter. Like Sergey said, rotation is a good idea. An even better idea is people do not occupy these places as members of the program committee solely on a formal basis. We will be able to continue the discussion in our mailing list. I will try to summarize it after the session is over, and I will send it out to everyone. In addition to rotation, there are two other questions. The distribution of responsibilities, duties, and how we should elect the program committee. Again, if you have any suggestions, please share them with us, because it's another important issue that we, the community, not with the program committee or not me, the vice chair, but the whole community, we need to come to a common understanding of how we will work in the future. Yeah, Alexander is saying that in the Moscow hub, there are people queuing up. Well, wonderful, wonderful. Hello again. Can I be the first, and then I'll pass the microphone to other people willing to speak to answer Alexei Minyaka's questions. As far as I remember, we didn't have any problems with the program committee in terms of absence of the candidates. You know, I think there was just one time when we had voting, there were 21 or 22 candidates. And we needed like 20 people, and there was only one or two candidates who had to be voted off. And can we go back again to the composition of the program committee, to that slide? At one point, we had a discussion of introducing KPIs and such, but I'm looking at this program committee. Out of 20 people, 7 people did not participate in any way in preparing this meeting. They haven't sent a letter, they haven't made a phone call, and 2 or 3 people did just one thing. They did just one thing. And here I will agree with Sergey. I mean, if in like in RIPC, for instance, that Dmitry mentioned, Dmitry Gakhmanyuk, if you are a member of RIPC, you go and work. Those people who take an active part in the program committees activities, I mean, if they are making an effort, if they're trying to bring the knowledge, the experience to our region, the traditions from the right region, to share them with us, that's great. Alex, what were your other 2 questions? I think I answered to one of them. Okay, 3 questions, and you decide how many of them you have already covered. PC elects itself. Maybe we should adopt a different principle, like the principle that existed at RIPE, when members elect the PC. My question is, PC is for life. If you do not want to leave the PC, you can stay. No one is going to throw you out. And the area of responsibility. We understand that the program is the responsibility of the program. Well, I think I answered all of your questions. Well, yeah, I can't say that. I'm not sure that the membership voting, just like in RIPE, it will help us much. This program committee is like 12 friends of the chairs 12. 5 people come to vote for a person, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. Yes, but if everyone votes, the meeting, if we have it face to face, like in St. Petersburg, we had up to 700 people. Okay, even if it's 100 people, probably the chair will not be able to bring that many friends with him or her. Well, we can try. We can give it a try. Why not? Just like the old charter was adopted in order to have some procedure. The new charter, the review charter, it looks today outdated. Today, BRIPE NCC that supports us will understand that in their structure they had a lot of changes. There was this, I keep forgetting the ochlocracy, okay, whatever. So they've then are motivated to help us more, which is wonderful and welcome. I think the discussion should be bottom. It should be bottom up. Okay, thanks. This is what I said exactly. I didn't come. I draft. I said that I would like to hear from the floor, from the room, right? I'm not asking you to choose between different predefined options. The idea is to, have this process bottom up, like you said, to hear what people think. Okay, we have here another representative of the community, because until we've been only hearing from the program members. Sonia? Yes, hello. Sofia Grudyushkina is my name. I'm ENOG's fan. I've been to ENOG 1. I learned so much from you. You have a wonderful program. I have suggestions on 2 of your questions. The first one, Sergei Mesayedov mentioned GR, government relations. So the idea that I have on GR is as follows. Russian public officials are willing to cooperate, but you have to attract them somehow. I am a trainer to Sberbank security people, and I try to explain to them, Ripes.net, it's so wonderful, it's a candy, and they don't even know about this excellent RIPE NCC tool. And you can find lots of goodies and yummy things here, and then I can give you like a list of 25 different goodies that you can use to hook the government people on, the government people you want to talk to. As to the program committee and the way the program is prepared, I work in different expert networks and communities in XPNet. This person, Boris Slavin, I suggest you learn more about XPNet and the way Mr. Slavin surrounds himself with IT directors, ranking, and everything. So when you say that people are voting, someone is not voting, someone is not participating, all these things will just disappear because of those expert networks. And in Europe, these expert networks, especially in my favorite Holland, people are crazy about expert networks there because people have left social media, social networks behind them. They outgrew them. And expert networks and media, they are excellent sites for the communication between the expert community. So we can set up a brilliant expert network on the principles where every member of such a network would contribute to the best of their ability. But of course, the experts should also be getting some something delicious out of this network, out of contributing to the network, and the little things that person will not be getting if that person is not contributing. Okay, got that. As far as I understand, that's it from the Moscow hub, or do you have more people in the queue? If not, then Taras. Taras, then you go next. Okay, thanks. I'm afraid I will be saying something not very comfortable, and they will sound strange, especially since they will be coming from a member of the program committee, but still I insist on voicing them. Before we talk about the program committee charter, it would be well to define the objectives of the ENOG conference. The regional conference, there is just MENOG, there is C, the Southeast and Central Europe. The point is, I really didn't want to bring this up, but I don't know how to avoid it. I have to say it. Until 2014, people had common topics for discussion in the territory covered by ENOG. People had things in common. Unfortunately, now there is too much division, separation. The only common topic is RIPE CC. It's the common topic between Russia and the Ukraine. The only one. And the last several ENOGs, the allocation of those last several ENOGs determined the audience. And the people that were coming, they were coming to different ENOGs. Like you can look at the statistics depending on where ENOG was held. You can see who attended. Does ENOG have any shared goal, common goal, apart from this communication with RIPE and CC? Can we invite government officials to ENOG meetings? Does it make sense now? What is this conference about? If someone can answer that, thanks. Okay, colleagues. Anton, did you want to say something? Right, as a moderator of this discussion, yes, there aren't that many integration activities for the countries of this region, and ENOG is probably the last one, or probably one before last, one last activity that brings together people from different countries and enables their communication. And this happened first for political reasons, now the pandemic. But I see ENOG as an integration event that facilitates experience exchange. If the experience is exchangeable, if it's transferable, we understand that there are limits to adaptability of an experience, but still it's sometimes useful to hear from others to learn about their concerns. Well, Oksana Prihodko's topic was not very relevant for the listeners in Russia, for the audience in Russia, because it is not aiming to harmonize its legislation with the European regulations. So for the Russian audience, that last speech was rather theoretical. I still believe that we do have things in common, and there are some topics that are of interest to the whole audience, like the technical development, regulation of the technical development. And of course, there are other things that are only interesting to a limited number of viewers. Again, I have my own point of view, but we organize this session to hear from the audience. If the audience now says, what ENOG? We had time to spare, so we decided to come to this session. If the audience tells us that we need to kill the event, then okay. If the audience believes that we still have common ground and integration is useful at the technical level, then let's continue. Anything is possible. We must remember we must understand what the community's expectations are, what the community waits from today, tomorrow. With respect to Oksana's presentation, the subject matter was quite useful. As a member of the working group on regulation within the national project Digital Economy, I can say that the subject matter, the very subject of harmonization of legislation, the topic of terminology is very important for Russia. So this experience is useful, and we are learning from it. And the experience of Russia, Ukrainian experience, well, it can be adopted by other countries in the region. We talk about Russia and Ukraine. We should not forget that there are other countries apart from Russia and Ukraine in the region. They may be smaller in size, but they're equally important. In terms of GR, I believe that the governments, well, if we balance out the event, if we have enough stakeholders, then the governments will be able to come. RIPE NCC can play an important role in the program committee, but it shouldn't be the only player. You see, when we had MSKIX, when we had Hostmaster, probably the government authorities will look more kindly on an event that is organized with involvement of more stakeholders. What Taras said, the mission of the event for the whole region. How do we take it forward? That's a big question mark. How do we take forward this mission? I feel like we need to keep experts inside. Not all of them will be visible to the audience. If you look at the list of the members of the program committee, there are many people inside the program committee who enjoy a lot of authority. I mean, they're very authoritative, but they're not very well known, say, to the Russian audience. Ignas, well, before Ignas speaks, it's great to see you, Ignas. But until now, we've been hearing mostly from the program committee, and there are only two people who spoke who are not current members of the program committee, while one of them, Sergei Mesaedov, is a former program committee member. It would be great if we could hear from the people who were never associated with the program committee. Ignas? Well, I'm not associated with the program committee, and I'm not really associated with this region. So with your permission, I want to base my intervention on my experience of what happens in other regions. I dug up information on the program committees and the memberships of the program committees. As a rule, in many program committees, there are members who nominate themselves because of the status. Over here, you see, I'm a member of the program committee. Here's my certificate. I'm a very important person. Just because things are not being done, no one apart from the members of the program committee will be able to tell that. And yeah, sometimes some organizations would have KPIs for the program committee members, but such organizations are few. It's a common problem of organization, self-organization of the structures which are elected by the members, like the program committee of RIPE. Theoretically, yes, the community does voting, but in reality, it's the friends of the candidates who vote. And if you look at the results of the elections, they look strange. So my personal viewpoint is that some of the program committee members should be elected by the community or part of the community, and the other part of the program committee should be inherited or it should be recommended by the existing members of the program committee, so that there is a core that understands the subject area and so that it can take decisions for the benefit of the community. And then probably these two groups of people will be able to come to an agreement. Secondly, on involving vendor representatives, companies, operators, they will come if they will see a meaning for them. NANOG, for instance, this is not a conference, it's a trade show. It's 3 days of sales that is organized in the hotel, in the lobby of the hotel, rather than in the conference hall. And the conference is just part, the visible part of the event, but much more deeper part of the conference, a bigger part, not everybody sees, are the commercial deals that are negotiated at the sites, which attracts people with common interests. And I don't see anything bad in this. And probably this is one way to appeal to a greater number of people from within the ecosystem. To get together, to talk it over, as engineers do, yeah, fine, yes, probably, but then maybe there will be no room for growth if we talk only about regulation. Again, the same example, NANOG is often organized together with ARIN. The regulatory aspects are discussed before or after NANOG, and technical issues, again, they are discussed in other days. RIPE does something similar. They've got the general session. That's one day, a dedicated day. And there was something else in my notes. Right. Shared interests. And the charter, the mission of the event. Is this an occasion to get together over a glass of beer, or is this the distribution of knowledge? Is this an official body of or for regulation? It depends on who attends the event. For face-to-face meetings, yeah. people would gravitate to the social events. You know, you grab a glass of beer and you talk about interesting stuff. But to be able to talk about interesting stuff, you have to have topics for discussion. And without the social functions, without all these different topics to discuss over several meetings, we will run out of topics. This is how things stand today, yes, but it will be over sooner or later. It will be over. And again, the quality of content, if there is interest to end on the part of those who do things with their own hands, probably the interest will go up. Of course, if this event will not migrate to the dangerous discussion of is it more inclusive rather than diversified, or the other way around. There is nothing else left on my list. And the general answer to your big questions, I do not see any problems with having a program committee. We can have a program committee. I believe that such events are important. If some members of the program committee are believed not to contribute enough, that's normal. It happens everywhere, and probably that's how it will remain. To have elections from the general audience, probably this is not the best choice compared to selective elections or elections out of the existing members or from the existing members of the program committee. Thank you. Thanks. I also wanted to remind you about timing. We only have 8 minutes officially in our time slot. Sergei Mesayedov is another speaker who requested the floor. I suggest that we try to close this discussion and turn to next steps. Sergei. Yeah, I'll try to be brief. I want to disagree with one opinion. I think Anton said it. There is no problem with the organizing committee. There is no problem with those who organize the events. The problem is with the content. The problem is with how we position the event. But again, it's all in the hands of the program committee. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. If we do not have any other people requesting the floor, Taras writes in the chat that he agrees with Sergei. Okay, very well. Again, if no one else wants to intervene, I've been taking notes, and I will try to summarize everything in the discussion, and I will send it into ENOG Discuss mailing list. And I hope that this summary will not be the only message in this mailing list, and I hope to get your feedback and more responses and ideas. And thank you, Ignas, actually, for taking the floor right now. I know you have a lot of experience with other events, but you were never involved with ENOG program committee or program. So thank you very much for speaking. And I would be very happy to hear from more people. If not today, then tomorrow, the day after. It's a discussion again. We are not working towards a known answer. We don't know the answer yet. We are trying to discover it. Okay, and I will pass the floor to Maxim now. Okay, this BOF is over, I guess. And what else? Well, no, actually, we still have a few minutes left. So if anyone would like to speak, maybe people from other hubs, not just the Moscow hubs. We also have Yerevan and St. Petersburg, Kiev. Well, Kiev is represented by Alexei, as far as I understand. So once again, Alexei is going to send out the summary of this discussion to the ENOG mailing list, but I don't know if you've been refraining to take for some reason during this session, there is still an opportunity. We will all benefit if this event becomes more useful to the people. Alexei stated 3 questions. Pertaining to the charter. I've been trying to fill in the time to give people an opportunity to either send their questions to the chat or request the floor. Well, no one used the opportunity, so both closed. Thank you everyone who contributed. I'll be off then. Yeah, okay, thanks. Maybe I'm thinking maybe we can set up an internal group to discuss the charter. Everyone is laughing. Anton, ENOG discuss. Traffic is close to 0. How about we consider ENOG discuss your internal working group? There aren't any letters there right now. Finally, we're going to get some. I agree. And I agree with everyone who laughed out loud. Okay. Then,
I think there's a question from Dimitri, or there's a Dimitri has asked for. Dimitri is in the queue. So we still have a few minutes left.
Oh, yes, you are absolutely right. Yes, I didn't see Dmitri's request. Yeah, now I see it. I read a comment in the chat. Toma wrote that he doesn't want to take the remaining 15 minutes that were allocated for the closing of the session So if we want to continue the discussion for the next 15 minutes, we can use that time. Yes, I know that, but it looks like there is no more will to prolong this discussion. Okay, then, Kevin, can you announce our final speaker, Toma? And we wanted to thank everyone for your participation. Thanks. It was great.
Indeed, I can, and let me just add my my thanks to everybody that commented on the last session, but also the 2 lightning talk speakers before that. So thank you very much to them. So that just leaves us with one final thing to do, and this is the farewell address from our ENOG chair. Toma, if you want to take over and say your piece.
Thank you. I hope that you can hear me and you can see my screen. Please let me know if it's not the case. It is the case. We can see you and we can hear you. Perfect. Okay. We'll start with the numbers. 355 people registered for ENOG 18 at enog.org. When we opened the conference, we had 335 registrations and we added 20 more registrations during the event. Probably, I don't know, maybe they are participants from remote hubs, but I don't have the information to verify that. Out of them, 118 people registered for the very first ENOG in their lives. We have participants from 39 countries. And 175 participants attend the sessions over the Mitsako platform. At the start of the both session, we had 78 people online. Now it's 69. So personally, I am very happy that the discussion, this last discussion, was well attended. 175 unique users on Mitsako. This is important. Finally, we organized another fully virtual meeting. You can see on the charts below, the blue bar identify face-to-face meetings and the green ones are virtual meetings, but you know that this conference is not 100% virtual. We had remote hubs by countries. The predominant majority, a little bit less than one half of registered as participants from Russia. Armenia is in the second place in terms of the number of registrations, and the Ukraine is in the third place. Remote hubs. The statistics for remote hubs is quite interesting. I've got pictures. These are pictures that people posted in the social media. This is Yerevan, and this is a hub in Moscow. This is a picture from the hub in Kiev, and a picture from the MSKIX Facebook. This is St. Petersburg. Statistics that we have right now. I would place hubs in terms of the audience involvement, probably. And we'll start with Moscow. We'll start, this is the hub that was organized with the support of cctlt.ru.rf and TCI. They received 43 attendees, but they had a capacity for 100 people. So it means 43% only. 43% like fulfillment rate. The bronze goes to Kiev. They could be accepting 30 attendees, and they had 13 participants arriving there. That's 43.3%. You can see that the difference between the fourth and the third place is tiny. St. Petersburg is getting silver, 66% silver, 33 out of 50 possible attendees. And first place goes to Yerevan, according to my subjective criterion. So I congratulate the Internet Society and the Union of Operators of Armenia. In the Yerevan room, according to our statistics, there were 29 people out of 25 possible. The explanation is quite simple. This is statistics for 2 days. That's the number of unique visitors. So there was no overflowing of the room. Everything is safe. Everyone is safe. We were all compliant with the COVID restrictions. Oksana Prikhotko wanted to add something, right? No, this is not Oksana Prikhotko. It's Alex Semenyak. I'm using her computer. That's why you see her name. It's a computer that was provided to us by the hub. I didn't change the name, the username, sorry. Well, actually, we had 16 people in the Kiev hub, not 13. So the percentage is somewhat higher. Okay, we will fix statistics. Good, thank you. Anyway, but Yerevan is the winner, and no one is going to argue with that. Anna Krachanyan from Yerevan wanted to add a few words. Microphone, please. A microphone, please. Anna? There is no sound. Oh, there is still no sound. Oh, it's coming through. Can you hear me now? Yeah, now it's better. Well, I wanted to say how happy I was that we are the winners, and it means that we will be able to use the statistics for future planning. We didn't play very well in the quiz, but you see I'm wearing the t-shirt. Is this the ENOG 18 t-shirt? Yeah, wait. Yes, yeah. It's the right t-shirt. So thank you very much. It was an excellent event. People here were very active. It was a bit over technical, but we did pretty well in the quiz. Thank you from all of us. Well, thank you. I made a screenshot. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to you. So you have just witnessed the official ENOG 18 t-shirts, and you'll be able to get one for yourself. There is a print that you can download from the ENOG website and get such a t-shirt done for yourselves, but there are some resume t-shirts that will be traveling to the owners very, very soon. Before I pronounce the quiz winners, we also have other awards to hand out. The first registered person. The first person registered for ENOG number 18 is Shinoi Pitandavida. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. Next, the first newcomer, the first person who registered for ENOG 18 and said that it was the first ENOG in their life is Francois Bourgeau. I'm sorry again if I mispronounced the name. And the first person who said during registration that they would be coming in person to a remote broadcast hub, that's Igor Ivanikov from the Moscow hub. And now to the quiz winners. The quiz on day one, the third place is taken by Ilya Kochenko. In the second place, we've got Ilya Popov. And in the first place, Vadim Shkilyaev. Congratulations. Excellent knowledge of the modern IP protocols. The second quiz on routing. The third place went to Dmitry Kakhmanyuk. The second place is taken by Alfred Zidaro. And we couldn't find Alfredo in the list of participants. We couldn't find that particular name. So if it's a nick, please write to us at enog@right.net. We need your information so we can route your t-shirt to the correct destination. And the first place, Alexander Isavnin. Congratulations to the winner. The shirt at this point. Moving on. Once let me remind you that tomorrow RIPE-NCC is hosting a 2-hour webinar on basic IPv6 protocol security. All links are available at the ENOG website. You can go to the parallel events section. Похожие события in Russian. If you can't find the link, please write to the ENOG Telegram chat. We will send the link to you directly. The webinar is free. RIPE-NCC members can register using this link. If you are not a RIPE-NCC member, please write to us to register. The program committee wanted to remind you that we are waiting for your ratings of the presentations. This is important are going to take decisions about our future presentations based on your feedback. I wanted to thank our host, the host of the virtual meeting, RIPE NCC, our main sponsor, Internet Society, and our information sponsors, the sponsors of ENOG 18, the Russia 3D News, Telesputnik, Infox, ICT Online, NAG, ICT to Go, ITZine, and UA.ix, Ukrainian Internet Exchange. I also wanted to thank the whole program committee participated one way or another in preparing the program and holding ENOG 18. I will not name everyone. You see the names here. Everyone who has just joined us, or if you want to participate in optimizing our future ENOG events, we invite you to follow our updates in our notification channels and our Telegram channel and the mailing list. We will be announcing elections to the program committee. Please stay tuned. And the charter, whether it is reviewed or not, we will still need new members for the program committee. Your feedback at the ENOG website, in the left column, there will be a link which says feedback. It will be a link to SurveyMonkey. So everyone who attended the conference, please take the survey. The polling results are very important for us. I am receiving photographs from hubs. People are celebrating. At least yesterday they were celebrating. I hope that today they will continue celebrating as well. A couple of, what do you call it? A little bit of information. A couple of announcements of the upcoming meetings in the RIPE region. There will be a RIPE NCC day in Tashkent. That's September 23 and 24. There will be a RIPE NCC regional meeting and SAE 9 in Ljubljana on the 27th and 28th of September. Both events, well, we hope very much that they will be in person, they will be offline, and finally RIPE 80th. Between 22 and 26 November, it's still not clear whether we'll be able to have a face-to-face meeting, but save the dates just in case. The dates are already known. And finally, over here, you can see the links to our mailing list, discuss at enog.org. There is a link to our chat in Telegram, ENOG Talk, and the RIPE NCC Twitter account, where you can read our news and where you can find out about the various events. Do join. This is it from me. Wanted to thank all of the participants, and I declare ENOG 18 officially closed. Thank you, everyone.